No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today we got a guy on the show who has a very, very interesting story. My man Bankypound is in the building. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for pulling up on us.
Oh, no doubt, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know if it was real till I got here.
Yeah? Thought you might have been getting scammed. It's happened before.
I first got out. I got scammed with the Cash App, so I ain't know what was going on. You know, I'm 8 days away from being out here 2 years. So.
Damn, yeah. 2 years.
Yeah.
And you went in 87?
I went in 87, got out in 2020.
Right. So you ended up doing, what was it, 37 years in total?
33.
33 years.
33 years.
In total.
In total. Straight first time in 33 years.
Okay, let's talk about everything that happened before you ended up going in first, just to cover that terrain. Okay, you're from where?
I'm from D.C., but I lived in Virginia and D.C.
Okay. How would you describe your upbringing, your childhood?
Oh, man, I had a great upbringing, you know. In the city in D.C., though, you know, it's rough, you know, but it's natural to us because that's where we from. So everything that may look rough coming from the outside is just natural to us, man. You know, I was into sports, played football, boxed, you know, just, it was great.
Both parents or?
No, just one.
Okay.
Just my mother.
Okay. Yeah. And so would you say that you were exposed to the streets early on, or when did you start to realize that there was people out here doing bad stuff?
Oh, I realized that early, but I didn't participate till I got, you know, in teenage years or whatnot like that because, like I say, you can be around the stuff, but you don't really get involved in it. So I ain't really get involved, man, till, you know, late in high school, man. I got to dealing with a dude that came down from New York, and I got to running with him, and the next thing you know, we out there pulling capers.
How did he approach you? Because it often occurs to me that I'm very thankful that I didn't meet somebody who could fully put me on to all of the illegal deeds that you could do out there in the world, because if you get put onto that at a young age, a lot of times you don't really have the faculties to say no or to understand what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's like a drug. It's like a drug because once you do something, you get some money that you assume is free, but it's never free money.
Right.
Then you think that when I'm broke, I can do this again. So it becomes an addiction. But it was like we used to hang out in Georgetown or whatnot, and we used to catch the train, you know, back and forth, or either the metro. And we was just out there one night, and we ain't had no money to catch the metro back. And he was like, man, we can just rob somebody. All these dudes out here, you know, the pimps out there, everybody out there. So I said, man, you crazy. We ain't gonna rob nobody. So he was more or less like, man, I said, man, we don't even got a gun. He was like, you don't need no gun. You act like you got a gun, they gonna give you the money, man. Don't nobody want to get shot. So I'm like, man, you tripping. And sure enough, he said, watch me. He went and did it. He got the money. He bought me some. He gapped it with it. We got on the metro, went home. That's how I started.
Who'd he rob? Just a random person?
Yeah, just a random person. But he'd be out there with the pimps and the prostitutes and everybody be out there. So it could have been a pimp, but he looked broke, but he had some money, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he just pulled up on him, acted like he had a gun, told him to give it up. He gave it up.
Right.
And that was it.
And so then you started doing this as well?
Yeah, I started doing it with him.
Okay.
I started doing it with him.
And this was just your day-to-day hustle? You weren't doing anything else?
Nah, we was still in school.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We were still in school, so it was more or less on the weekends when we go up there or something, then that became our pastime. And then he ended up getting towed off. He ended up getting caught. So when he got caught, his stepfather ain't won't getting along with him anyway, so they shipped him back to New York. So when he went back to New York, then I was there by myself, so I just left it alone. But then got broke, started doing it again. You know, I ended up in Virginia because a lot of my family lived in Virginia. Used to come down in the summertime all the time, so I ended up in Virginia. Hooked up with another dude in Virginia, was doing the same thing. We ended up pulling a robbery. Somebody lost their life. Boom.
And so, okay, but you were running around without a gun doing the majority of these robberies?
Yeah, and see, the crazy part about it is, this is what I be trying to educate dudes about on my platform. Like, the crazy part about it is, a lot of people don't even know, we was robbing people, first of all, with a gun at first with no bullets in it. Just, you know what I'm saying? So if anybody would have bucked back, we'd have been dead.
Right.
You know, that's number one. And number two, like I said, a lot of people don't even know you could point a gun at somebody and, you know, demand their money, and you can get life. You get life in Virginia. I don't know if it's like that anywhere else. You can get life for just taking money from somebody at gunpoint without shooting them, without hurting them, without doing anything. That's life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's life.
So, and you probably hadn't even occurred to you, I'm assuming, that anything could happen to you from this, or you thought you might get locked up for a very brief stint if you did get caught?
Yeah, I explain it to people like this. It's kind of hard for people to understand, but when you really put it in context, you will be able to understand. It's like, when you that age and you young, you like an older teenager, 17, 18, you know what you're doing is wrong.
Right.
You know you could get in trouble, but you don't know the consequences. Because every trouble you got in prior to that, you've been able to get out of, either by mom or family or something. So that's what you're thinking in your mind. And you don't know the consequences. Like I said, a lot of people don't know you point a gun at somebody, you can get life.
Right.
So you're thinking that, well, yeah, I could get in trouble if I get caught. And number one, you think you ain't gonna get caught, but you thinking if you do, you can get up out of it. That's not the case, man.
So what happened in this actual incident where the guy lost his life?
It was a robbery. You know what I'm saying? They demanded the money. I left up out there. They was arguing, left up out there, pulled the trigger. Later on, that person died. They didn't even have us locked up for the crime. They had somebody else locked up for the crime like months later. He got scared or whatever. He felt like his name had came up. He went to the people and told the people that it wasn't the people that was locked up. It was him and me. He put all the blame on me. You know what I'm saying? I ended up getting 2 life sentences, 115 years.
And so you didn't even pull the trigger?
No.
Wow, you just were with him? And
I was with him.
But you weren't even like physically there?
I was physically there, but when the altercation occurred, I left because there was too much conversation going on instead of, taking the money leave. It was too much conversation going on. So I left. He ended up getting nervous or whatever happened, transaction between them, and he pulled the trigger. He left up out.
Right.
Months later, like I say, they got somebody else locked up for the crime. He turns himself in. He implicates me. They come pick me up. He testified against me. He said he was there. Woo, woo, woo. He didn't pull the trigger. I did. Being he's cooperating. I tell him I don't know nothing. I wasn't there. I stuck to my story. They felt like I was trying to be hard. 2 life sentences, 150
So you didn't
years.
tell on yourself at all, which is a lot of times that's the thing that young people do when they get caught up is they just start talking and they fucking air themselves out.
Yeah,
Make it easy on
They
them.
threatened me with everything. I told them, they told me you gonna get the lecture chair, da, da, da. So I don't know nothing. I didn't do it, and that was what I stuck to. So in their eyes, I'm being hard. So boom, they lit me up. Did
you get a lawyer? Or did you have a public defender?
I had a lawyer and a public defender. Both of them probably together was worth 5 cents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't do nothing. They lied to me. When I actually did get the time, I ended up having to take a plea bargain because at the time that I was going to trial, Virginia was implementing a new law, and it was called a 3-strike law.
Right.
And they were saying if you had 3 charges of the same caliber, then you would be not eligible for parole, no matter how much time you got. So if you had 90 years, you ain't eligible for parole. You had to do 85% of that. So, I had already went to trial for the murder. They had already gave me 105 years. So now I'm going to trial for the robbery. So it's more, they charge you with more than one robbery. So if I get convicted of either one of them, I already got 100-some years, I never get out of prison.
Holy shit.
So I ended up having to take the plea bargain to get out of prison. And the plea bargain was the 2 life sentence. But they was telling me, this is what the lawyer told me, it will all encompass itself. And in Virginia, anything over 45 years, if you got anything over 45 years, you go up for parole in 12 years anyway. You're parole eligible. He was saying it's your first time, you've never been in trouble. You go in, you keep your nose clean, man, you'll make first parole. Go ahead, take the plea bargain. It's the best thing for you. If not, you're going to end up getting no parole. Crazy. I took the plea bargain, listened to him, took advice from my lawyer. I never even went up for parole, number one, for 18 years, so that was a lie.
Okay.
First time I ever went up was 18 years. Second thing is, 30-some years later, they just finding out that Virginia misapplied the law. The law was not even intended to be that way. The law was if you get 3 felonies and you go to prison for a felony and you come out, you get enough, you go to prison 3 times. They was applying it for all of these years that if you had 3 charges, you had 3 robbery charges, they was giving you that putting you up under that law. So you got dudes that's getting out of prison now that's been in there for 20, 25 years plus under a fake law.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in essence, I took the plea bargain for something that didn't even exist.
So you thought you were about to do 12 years?
I thought I was about to do 12 years.
As an 18-year-old, was it approximately 18?
20. I had just turned 20, yeah.
12 years sounds like a fucking eternity because you can't imagine being
definitely
32, right?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth because that's what I was saying to myself. I said, man, I'm 12 years, man. I'll be 30-something. I'll be old as I don't know what.
But they still convinced you to take it?
They still convinced me to take it. They said, well, you would rather have that or never get out at all.
Wow.
So, you looking at that and it's really no choice. You see what I'm saying? Your back is against the wall. So
right.
I took it. I didn't go up for parole for 18 years and didn't make it till after I did 33.
How would you describe the way that your mind felt or how you were dealing with it as a 20-year-old, as you're starting to make this realization that I'm going to have to do probably at least 12 years?
To be honest with you, man, I couldn't even process it. I couldn't even process it. And then whatever you trying to process, once you get on the inside, then you have to even get that out of your mind, because now you got to think about surviving.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you get in there and actually see what's really going on, how it's going on, the way the system is being ran, you know, you got to focus now on surviving. You know what I'm saying? To get to 12 years, you know, because like I said, you may not even get to 12 years.
How long were you sitting in jail before you have to go out to prison?
I was in jail probably over a year and a half.
Okay. And compare that environment to once you go to actual prison.
Like kindergarten and college.
Really?
Yeah, it's kindergarten and college.
So in jail, you didn't feel like you were in much danger? It was pretty laid back?
At jail, I did a lot of fighting in jail, fist fighting, but was cool with me. You know what I'm saying? I can fight.
Right.
So I was good with that. But in prison, once you get to prison, you know, they using that Bethlehem, man. They using that knife. You know, you got dudes in there ain't never getting out. You got dudes that already, when you get there, when I got there, you got dudes that's already been there 20 years, 25 years.
And you're in the
years.
state prison or is it federal?
Yeah, it's state prison.
Okay.
Yeah, you got dudes ain't never getting out, so that's how they living in there.
So you get into this environment, and like, what was your first day like? Like, how do you get introduced to what this is going to be like?
The first day I can remember, first I went to receiving. So receiving was, you know, it's kind of okay, but you know what I'm saying, it's not really prison. It's prison, but it's like receiving is right here. The prison, if you get, once you go through receiving and get processed, they're gonna assign you to a prison. The receiving I went to was Southampton. Prison is right beside the Southampton farm, which, you know, they call that gladiator school. But I could have got assigned there, but I didn't. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I first went there, I was going through receiving. I ended up getting in an altercation and receiving off some that ain't had nothing to do with me. You know, dude was picking with a dude in the line, was going out for wreck, you know, throwing stuff at him. He turned around, he swung on me. I beat him up. You know, they locked me up, cut my receiving short, sent me to the wall. And in Virginia, the wall is the oldest, they tore it down there, was the oldest prison in the state of Virginia, the most notorious prison in the state of Virginia. I ain't never been to prison. They done cut my receiving short, know nothing about prison. They sent me straight to the wall. You know, so I get up in there. When I walk up in there, I knew what it was when I walked in there off the top. You know, they cat calling and whistling. It's like 7 of us walking in. It's like, if you ever seen Shawshank Redemption, how it's just all bars and the tears and the tears.
Yeah.
It looks just like that.
Wow.
And I walk up in there and, like I say, I knew what it was. I could feel the, you know, chill bumps getting on me because everybody hollering. I'm just walking, you know, with a stone face like, man, they better not be whistling at me. You know, that's what I'm thinking. But
right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. So, okay, once you're in that environment, like a lot of times we hear in LA at least that like when you're in the county jail, that it's very much still based on what neighborhood you're from, what gang you're associated with, and then you go to prison and it just kind of breaks down to like racial lines. Like all the black dudes who are normally at war in the streets are just black guys once they get to prison. Is that how it worked out there as well?
No, that ain't how it worked out there. Later on in my bit, you know, further down, it got into the gang stuff. It wasn't even no gangs in prison when I first went in there. It wasn't like the Bloods, the Crips, the GD. That didn't even exist. Okay. But you had neighborhoods up there that stuck together. Like you say, you got Tidewater, you got Richmond, you know, you got DC, you got, you know, Northern Virginia, you know, like that. They stuck together. But for the most part, though, a lot of them dudes may be in-house beefing too. They may beef with each other. Really? You see, yeah, they may beef with each other. But the thing about it was they would beef with each other, but if you had a beef with one of them, then all of them coming at you. You see what I'm saying? And at that time, Richmond is like, that's one of the biggest places in Virginia. They had the, I would say they had the biggest mob. They, you know, yeah, they had the biggest. You probably weren't gonna fight one of them. Wow. You gonna fight at least 7, 8, 10 of them.
So from the beginning, do you have to start figuring out like who you're down with, who's gonna protect you, who's gonna have your back if shit starts going crazy?
I mean, some dudes do that. I didn't do it because, like I say, I'm really out of towner. I don't know nobody. I definitely don't trust nobody. I just, once I got the lay of the land and seeing how things was, and then I'm starting to hear about, you know, this time I got, man, you know, you got life sentences and stuff, da-da-da. So I'm listening to all this and I'm creating my own philosophy in my head of what's going down. Now, to be honest with you, I ain't even never think I'd make it to get out of prison. Once I seen how it was going down in there.
It was that bad. You're like, I'm probably not going to make it out of here.
Yeah, I already knew that if somebody came at me in a certain way, I was going to either take their life or they was going to have to take mine.
Right.
So that's the philosophy that I created in my head. I'm not going to be robbed. I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I'm not going to be disrespected. Any of that come to me, I'm handling it emphatically. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm going to move first, and I'm going to move to do whatever got to be done.
Did you need to have that attitude? Because if you go into that environment like, I'm not going to commit any violent acts, I'm going to keep my nose clean, I'm just in here to do my time, does that just make you an automatic mark to some of these predators in there?
That's an impossibility.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. I don't care who you are. I've seen the most meek people in there. I've seen Muslims that don't bother nobody. I've seen Christians that don't bother nobody. I've seen older people. You will be a victim, period. It's just because they're going to feed on the weak. You know, he goes to church, or he stays in his cell, he don't bother nobody. Now, man, somebody going to come ask you, well, do we get commissary? Man, let me get some of that commissary. You know, then you give them some, then they want some more. You know, then you get $50 worth of commissary every week. Now they want 40 of it. Yeah, you can keep 10. You know, it's coming at you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to set your mark. And then the thing about it is a double-edged sword. Because if you defend yourself, and let's say you defend yourself to the fullest, and you victorious, okay, you're going to pay for that too. You see what I'm saying? You're going to back your time up. You're going to go do time in the hole, all of that. You know, and then you're going to have enemies when you come out. You know, but the alternative is to be, you know, whatever they want you to be.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It's almost impossible to believe that this is the system that our country has come up with, that if somebody does something horrible, that we're going to punish them by basically forcing them to figure out how to survive in an arena where they're going to be bombarded with all of the worst fucking possible, you know, people who are going to try to do something to them. We basically put them into a situation in which, at the very least, they're going to have to fucking fight over and over and over to defend themselves.
Absolutely. And then, like I say, the harder you go, the more you do, you know, you'll end up earning a reputation that where people know, well, look, mess with Adam, this is what you're gonna be dealing with. So you'll get the weight off, but it's a double-edged sword as well, because if I know Adam gonna come at me with that Bethlehem, he gonna try to take my life. If I got to go at you, then that means that's how I'm coming at you, to take your life. So you get dudes that might want to creep up on you, get dudes that might want to sneak you, because they know that if they got a beef with you, they know what they got to deal with. So it's a double-edged sword too. You can earn a reputation, but you could die by that same reputation.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So is everybody just hanging out together, or is everybody separated up into certain cells? Because you're describing it as being this like crazy environment where you have shitloads of people all screaming at you when you walk in.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, most blocks now, they got it's like 84 people on the block. But like when I was in the wall, you talking about 300 people coming out at the same time.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? With no officer in sight. You know, and everybody on there got the Bethlehem. Everybody got a knife. When I'm in there,
Why did it get called the Bethlehem?
That's a DC thing.
Okay.
We call it the Bethlehem. People on my channel, they understand what I be saying about. Dudes from DC call it the Bethlehem because they say, you know, if you get hit with it, you know, you're going to have to be born again, same place Jesus was, in Bethlehem.
How long did it take you to get one?
Oh, man, you can get one easy.
Really?
I got one immediately once I seen what the lay of the land was. Because when I was in the wall, when I went to the wall, it was in the first week. It's on one of my prison stores. Within the first week I was there, I was on the phone. I was talking to my mother. And this big old dude, man, big black dude with dreads hanging down. He had on a pair of jeans and no shirt. And he was kind of stark. And he was just pacing up and down the T, up and down the T. He had long dreads all the way to his butt, man. Just pacing. Man, he just turned around one time on his way back. He just pulled the Bethlehem out and just started stabbing this dude, man. He just started hitting him, boom, boom, boom. I mean, blood everywhere. He went down to the ground. He was on top of him. He kept on hitting him. He died. You know what I'm saying?
And you watched it all?
Yeah. And I'm on the phone, and my mom's hollering. She like, what's up? And I done stopped talking, right? So she hollering, what's going on? And I said, man, this dude might have just got killed. So she hollering, go to your cell. I said, I ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm standing right there with my back against the wall so I could see everything. But, man, he just laid there in the pool of blood. The dude tucked the knife in his waistband and just kept pacing up and down the tier, pacing up and down the tier. And you can see him laying there, and you can see the pool of blood just spreading out wider and wider. You see what I'm saying? So once I saw that, the next time that we came out that cell, I went to a dude that had been locked up about 30-something years. He was like the man on there when you wanted to get something. Like in Red, he was like Red in Shawshank. If you wanted something, you go to him. I went straight to him and said, man, how can I get me one of them?
What was it usually made out of, metal or glass?
Yeah, man, metal, man. They make knives out of anything in there, man. They might break a piece of steel off the fence and get it welded down, man. They might break anything. They will find some. This stuff right here is in there. They might cut half of that pipe off and turn it into ice.
All the time in the world to fucking
all
sharpen
the time
that
in
shit,
the world,
huh?
man. Let me tell you something. Prison is the most innovative, creative dudes I have ever seen in my life.
Really?
Everything, man. I've seen things that you wouldn't even, things that blow my mind. All the way till I was getting out the door, even in my 33rd year, man, I seen some stuff that I hadn't even never seen before.
Wow.
You know, I was in reentry. I seen a dude take a cardboard box, man, and make a actual oven. A oven, bro. A oven. You can take this cardboard box and what you call it, Brillo pads, and he laced it like chicken wire inside, and he put a cord to it, and man, you can actually put a little shelf in there. You can actually open it, put a piece in there, man, raw, like with dough and flour. Put it in there. 20 minutes later, had the whole pot lit up, man. Smell like it come out of the oven.
Wow.
Oven. I said, man, yeah, they can do it, bro.
I don't even know how a microwave works or an oven. I could never in a million years create one.
They do it all in there, man. I mean, you name it, they do it. I just did a video on my own channel, man, with, how before they even, like I was on prisons at first, they didn't have microwaves. So we might be on lockdown, so we in there for a long time. We had to cook on the iron.
Right.
We turn the iron upside down and clean the iron off and cook on the iron. And I just did a video on that to show them how we had to cook to get hot food, because you might get your last meal at 5:30.
Right.
And that's garbage anyway. You don't want to eat it. So you ain't got no hot food or no good food from there till the next morning.
Right.
So dudes was cooking on the iron, get hot food, stay up late at night and, watch No Jumper or something. You know what I'm saying?
What, like on their phones or on the TV?
Nah, well, if you get a phone is public enemy number one in there.
Really?
Public enemy number one.
What do you mean by that? Because of the guards or because everybody else is going to want to take it from you?
Phone is more a bigger threat to prison now than anything. More threat than drugs, more threat than knife, because you can actually show how they're being treated in there. People can film that stuff and get it out. If they find out you got a phone, they're going to shut the whole compound down. If it's 1,500 people on, they shutting the whole compound down, and they going through every cell and everything in there.
See, that's crazy. Do you think it's different everywhere? Because I see people on TikTok all the fucking time
and
now.
They tripping. I got caught with a phone. I got caught with a phone twice.
Really?
You understand? Yeah, I didn't even know what a phone was all the way. I had never even seen one all the way until I think I got caught with the first phone in 2008. I got caught with the phone I had it for 5 years.
You had been in there for 20 years at this point. So
and it was just like a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
I got transferred back to a prison that I had already been on before, and I was talking to some dudes I knew, and they was talking about trying to get some weed in and stuff like that, and they was talking on the wall phone. And I was there with them because I knew them, and I was telling them, man, when they got off phone, I said, man, y'all got to cut that out, man, because them people be listening to these phone calls. They going to make your words be what they want it to be. You got to stop that. And just like that, he said, man, I know, man, I got to get a cell phone.
How'd you even get it in?
CO. Same thing, same way everything else.
Is that how it always happens?
Always happens.
And then it's the same dudes who are tearing the prison apart to try to find it?
Prison out. Yeah, because you got to think now, they got phones in there. Dude might get a phone. You could get a generic phone. The first phone I had in there was a pay per minute little phone you get out of Walmart. Probably cost $15.
Right.
The officer gonna want $1,000.
Yeah.
So he thinking he can make $1,000 just to bring you a phone, and you're gonna pay for the phone too.
Even an honest guy is probably gonna give in at that point, right?
It's a no-brainer, man. And now they got phones in there, man, that's smaller than the blunt you got right there. And they cost $1,000, $1,500 to get it in. And you can't do nothing with it. You can't do no video, nothing. You just gotta push the little buttons and talk and listen. But the urge to be connected to the outside world is that great.
Because prison with a phone has got to be like way less shitty. Because you have access to all the world's information. You can read every book ever written. You can text every person you know. You can look at Instagram, etc. It's got to be so tempting to get that, because otherwise, what are you doing? You're getting a fucking book every couple months or some shit. Like what are you doing? You got to talk to these people. I mean, it's gonna be horrible.
When I got that phone, man, I ain't gonna tell you, I was addicted, man. I was done. I had it for 5 years. When I got caught, they moved you to a whole nother institution to get you off the institution, get these charges, you got to stay in the hole. I went through all of that and got shipped back to a prison that I had already been on before I came to this prison. I was going down to a lower level. But now when I got caught, they sent me back to a higher level, which was the level that I came from, 5 years earlier. But now when I go back here, I had some police that would, do some things for me. But I never knew about a phone when I was there. As soon as I get back up there, that's the first thing I want is a phone. And I should have left it alone. In retrospect, look, I should have left it alone. But now I was addicted. I had made so many contacts, and like you say, I'm watching videos. I'm talking to people. I'm reaching out and seeing, doing FaceTime, seeing places I hadn't seen in 20 years. So I got it again. This compound was different. It was smaller. It was harder to hide. It was more snitches on there. I ain't had but 8 months, man. When I got caught with that one, they tricked me up, sent me way out in the mountains, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you didn't have it for the final stretch of your prison time?
Nah, I wouldn't. When I got caught with it the second time, and them people sent me up in the mountains, man, and I went up there too. Like I actually got the videos is running the night and running for the next 3 days on my channel now is about Wallace Ridge, and I named it Wallace Ridge the Plantation. This is the most racist place that I had ever been on in 33 years. It is the worst prison I ever been on in 33 years by far.
Wow.
So after I left from up there, for going up there for the phone, man, you couldn't have gave me a phone when I left from up there. I wouldn't even took one.
Right.
I just ain't want to have nothing else to do with it because I didn't even want to be in that position to go back up there. I didn't even want to be. I was still trying to make parole, and then in a lot of ways, even though how crazy the compound was, I feel like everything happens for a reason. It was necessary. You know what I'm saying? It was necessary to train that out of me. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, the lure was so great. But that trained it up out of me, man, and made me get more focused about, man, I need to be just trying to get out of prison.
I have a friend who's in prison who has a phone.
Yeah.
And every time I FaceTime him, it's just like the most mind-blowing thing to me. Like, I cannot fucking believe that you are actually in there talking to me right now. Yeah. And even the little things that come with it where like every, 10, 15 minutes, the phone goes down.
Right.
Because somebody's walking by in the hall or whatever, and like he won't say anything for a minute, and then he picks it back up, and it's like, fuck.
Man, I did it all, man. I used to be laid in my bunk, and I used to have the tower right there where you couldn't see nothing. You couldn't see from here on up. And I'd be right there laying on the phone, but I could see the door I had a mirror right there, I could see the door. So when I see somebody that walk by the door, I just drop the phone, act like I was asleep. I mean, I done did it all, man. I've been up all night, when I first had the phone, it wasn't no Facebook or Instagram, it was MySpace.
Right.
Man, I found out on MySpace. I was on MySpace, man. Man, I was on MySpace. I might be on MySpace from 11 at night, man, to like 5 in the morning, man. Right. I was getting carpal tunnel. I was just, it was crazy, man. So like I say, you got to go through all the stuff about hiding the phone. You got to be prepared. You got to wait for shakedowns. Shakedowns when they come and they go in every cell. They check everything. So you got to know, have to have prior notice that it's coming, feel like it's coming, to hide the phone in advance. It's just.
Where would you put it?
Man, I had bomb hiding places, man. I had some bomb hiding places, man. It's a prison now. I won't even say the prison. It's a prison right now that I got a Bluetooth in the door. It's still in the door in this prison because when I got caught with the phone, the Bluetooth was still here in the door, and it's still in the door because they never found it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you have to be innovative and creative, man. And I got away, man. The only way I got caught was I had an old celly, and they had made this massive move. He's been selling for like 2 years. They made this massive move. They moved us, and then they separated us. Mm-hmm. So he was so used to using my phone, and he done made such a good connection with his old girlfriend. She want to see him, blah, blah, blah. He in another cell now. He ended up getting the phone. He ended up getting the phone, but then he wanted to be a boss. He wanted to get the phone there. He wanted to get weed. He wanted to sell weed, so everybody's calling his name out, and I'm like getting wind of it. Like a month or so later, I pull up on him and I'm letting him know. I'm like, look, bro, you got to calm down with this weed stuff. Everybody if you got the weed, give it to somebody else. Let somebody else sell it. They calling your name out. They're going to run down on you looking for some weed. They're going to find the phone. You're going to blow the whole compound up. Yeah. And he said, oh, yeah. He ain't want to listen. Week later, they run down on him, man. He ended up getting locked up. They didn't get the phone. He pinned it off to somebody else. But then his girl, she calling, because she know I got a phone, she calling me in the penitentiary, keep calling me, check on him, see? And I'm like, and you can't be mad or angry to nobody's calling, because all they do is call up the prison and tell them you got a phone. So you got to treat everybody nice. Even if you're mad, you got to suck it up, because they call up there and say you got a phone, that's a wrap. Right. So I'm trying to appease her or whatever. He ended up getting out later on. She gonna try to come up there, bring him some weed and some money, and got caught. And they put the pressure on her and say, oh, you're going to lose your job. You ain't going to never be able to come see him no more. We calling the state troopers right now. First thing out of their mouth was, Well, I tell you, somebody got a phone if you don't call the state troopers.
Right.
And they say, who? Say, well, my boyfriend's ex-celly. They said, well, how you know he got a phone? Said, I talked to him last night. I was supposed to call him when I leave here and tell him what, my boyfriend is doing because he was on the other side of the yard.
Right.
Man, them people came running in there like I was John Gotti, man. And
wow.
Gig was up. That's the end of the 5-year run.
So, like, for the beginning of your stretch in there, you can't even think about getting out, right? Like,
yeah.
When do you even start to see like a glimmer of hope? Because you're talking about how you thought you were going to do 12 years, but then the 12 years goes by and you don't even get a chance to go up for parole for till 18 years. You said,
yeah, but see, and that's a big thing about prison too. Once you get into life and you just in there, now you've learned how to survive in there. You learn how to live in there. You got a reputation. People know who you are. You live in that way, and you are not thinking correctly as you should be thinking about. That should be your number one goal, getting out.
Right.
You're thinking about day-to-day survival. You see what I'm saying? So in actuality, your mind get taken off of the prize. Because then when it comes time around for you to go up for parole, then you start thinking and you start getting hope and you be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make it. Man, I went up for parole the first time. Not only did I not make it, they gave me a 3-year deferral. Meaning that you won't even go up. Normally when you go up for parole, you go up every year. Every 12 months you go up again. I went up the first time, they came up with this thing, they could give you deferrals. They could even give you a 3-year deferral, a 5-year deferral, and I think it was up to like a 6-year deferral, where they saying that, oh no, we're not gonna see you for 6 more years, or we're not gonna see you for 3 more years.
Wow.
So they're essentially skipping these times that you're supposed to go up. First time I went up, they gave me a 3-year deferral. So not only did he lie to me, I went up in 18 years, and then I get a 3-year deferral the first time I go up.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So, man, you be thinking all types of crazy stuff in your head, like Cape Fear or something, This cat crazy, but, that's how it goes. And when you in that mode, man, you just in survival mode. You just trying to exist, in prison and not get killed in prison, not kill nobody in prison. So you're not thinking about it, man.
It occurs to me that you went in when you were so young that you probably really had very little real world experience at this point. Like, like my dating history was very limited by the time I was 20. It's not like you're 35 going in when you've had all these ex-girlfriends and you've taken on a lot of knowledge about how to move around in the world. Like, to what extent did you just get socialized to think that this was normal to the point where it was almost hard for you to even imagine what life would be like if you did get out?
Nah, I never got to that point where I didn't feel like, I always wanted to get out.
Right.
But at the same time, I never got to the point where I felt like, well, when I get out, I can't adjust. Or when I get out, I'll be what we call state struck, or I'll be institutionalized. I never got to that point because I always controlled my own mind. Just like people say, now like say 8 more days would just be 2 years. And I know dudes that did less time than me, they out here, they can't function at all.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? People ask me, well, how you get out, man, and you just adjust so well? I'm like, I still was me. I still ain't lose my mind. I didn't lose my mind while I was in, and it's easy to do. It's easy to do. People lose their mind in it every day, bro. Every day. Anything you could possibly think of, I've seen it in there. I've seen people get killed. I've seen people lose their mind. I've talked to dudes just as coherent as I'm talking to you right now and run into them 5 years later, they can't even complete a sentence, because they may, do something violent and where the people might send them to a mental institution and then they might drug them up with all these drugs. You don't want to take the drugs, they put it in your food and put you in the dry cell where the only thing you can eat is this and the drugs is in your food.
Wow.
So then you get addicted to the drug, but the drug is supposed to calm you down and to keep you to be nonviolent. But now you've been, twisted in the head. I know dudes that used to talk, now they don't even talk no more, they just sign language.
Really?
Yeah, and they was, bosses on the street, big drug dealers, and
it's crazy because those are. It sounds like you're describing like a lot of the people that we would see. We used to have a store downtown, and you're around all these homeless people down there and everything, and that there's a lot of them who like they won't even fucking speak. But we always just kind of blame it on like the drugs basically.
Yeah.
Or maybe pre-existing like psychological conditions like schizophrenia or whatever. But that's crazy to think that people could become like that while they're locked up as well.
Because they're under so much mental pressure. Yeah. Anyway, like I say, you under so much mental pressure in there. You under, just all the stress. And everything that I've talked about thus far, we talking about, convict to convict, inmate to inmate. Well, you ain't even talking about the pressure that the system is applying on you. You know, the pressure that they applying on you, the way they treating you, they dehumanizing you, they talking down to you, they talking over you. I could be just like we just close right now. You could be calling the officer, you know, hey Adam, and they right here, and they act like they can't even hear you.
Right.
You know, and then you might see them sitting there laughing and joking with their coworker, but they totally ignore you. So you become a little, you know, desensitized to, you know, your treatment. So that's why a lot of people, when they get out here, they can't function because, you know, they've been treated so bad that they think that's how they're supposed to be treated.
It's got to be crazy to be a guard, though, too, because if you give the prisoner a little bit of humanity, they're just going to fucking try to maximize that as much as possible to take whatever they can from you, right?
And they train them that. They tell them that they're coming in the gate. Oh, don't listen to them. They all con artists. They all going to try to do this. That's what they tell them. That, you know, I've had officers who've actually told me this is in their training. You know what I'm saying? So they come in there, you know, trained to look through you. But then, you know, when they created these new prisons in Virginia, like they call it Supermax, you know, where they saying that these is the worst of the worst, so they put them here, but it was all a scam just to get these places built to build up the economies in these parts of the city. But they created these places, and now they give you a gun. You know, now they can shoot you. Now they got dogs. They let the dogs bite you. This was not in none of the prisons.
So is that the characteristic of the Supermax prisons? Is that they have guns that can shoot you?
They got guns. Yeah, and they got yellow and red lines everywhere. If you step over the line, they shoot you. You raise your voice, they shoot you. You playing cards at the table, you slam the spade card down, bow, they shoot you.
You've seen that?
I've seen
from
it.
somebody playing cards.
I've seen dude get shot from me and you walking in the line to go to eat, and I don't like you, and dude push him out of the line, and he fall down outside of the line. Bow! Shoot him.
What?
Yeah, shoot him. I seen dudes lose their eyes. At first, when they first opened the place, the one of them doing the story on there, Wallace Ridge, they had cattle prongs, man, with the thing on the end of it, and they was burnt. Dudes was coming back from up there with big burn marks on their face, their chest, their back. Dudes was coming up there with teeth missing, eyes from being shot, man.
How much does that change your behavior when you're thinking like, oh, if I step over this red line, I might die? Does that take even the most gangster individual and basically turn him into like a frail, meek person that's terrified of stepping out of line?
It does. It does in a sense, because like I say, I was telling somebody the other day, and trust me, it's some. Look at my page. There's some gangster dudes in Virginia penal system.
Right.
The gangster of gangsters, and even they cannot, you know what I'm saying, endure what Wallace Ridge and Red Ain't them, because they're gonna kill you, man.
Right.
Before I got up there, they had like 4 murders that was blamed on the officers. No one was fired. They would get you in that cell. When they get them cuffs on, they would beat you to death, and they would put a knife beside you and say you attacked them.
Wow.
So it's just brutal up there, man. There's a dude in there right now that I be talking about on my channel, trying to get him some relief. He's been in there now for going on 49 years.
Right.
You know, and he's up still. He's 67 years old. He's up in Wallace Ridge under this type. This is, you know, he up there, and he's been up there for the last 22 years. In the mountains, they won't put him nowhere else because he was so notorious in the system that they can get back on him, because they done sent him to like 5, 6 different states doing this bit.
And he just keeps turning up in all of them?
Right, but now they so mad because one of the cases that they accuse him of is uprising back in the day in the wall, the prison I was telling you about, and like 8 officers got stabbed up, and they saying he was the ringleader. So they're so mad about that they're dragging him right now. 49 years, man, you know what I'm saying? And he ain't, you know, what can he do? He's 67 years old.
Did you have some guards, though, that you got a cool rapport with? Because, I mean, you're a smart guy at a certain point. Yeah. There's got to be guards who start to treat you like a person because you're
right.
nice and easy to talk to.
I've had some over the years. And the way I look at it, the way I equate it, I've had some that treated me human. I had some that was, you know, would do anything for me, you know what I'm saying, as far as make sure that if I needed to be treated right, or if an officer was out of bounds or something, he's going to say, oh, no, that's wrong. You know, I've had those type of officers. But to be honest with you, you know, it was very few. You know what I'm saying? Because you're talking about 33 years, you're talking about thousands of officers. And I probably could count on, you know, probably less than 10 to 15 at the most.
Right.
You know, and not even, and just a couple of wardens, man. The warden that actually was on the prison when I made parole, shout out to him, Warden Call. He is actually, man, a warden that he went to bat for me, man. He seen what I was doing. He seen that I was trying to mentor the younger, you know, inmates or whatever. He acknowledged that, man, and he told me, man, that he looked at my record. He said, man, I see all the stuff you used to do. I see what you're doing there. Keep doing what you're doing there. Next time you go up for parole, I'll speak up for you. And, you know, like I told you when I first walked, I don't believe nothing until it happened. He actually did it. and I didn't make parole, but he actually did it. The next year, he did it again, and I didn't make it. The third time he did it, I made parole. He was the actual one that called me over there and told me that I actually made it.
But when you went up for parole the last time, when you actually got it, were you feeling just as hopeless as you did the previous 2 times? Probably even worse, because you've already been rejected twice, right?
They got this thing in Virginia that, other states, I talked to a dude out here who was locked up as well. He told me when they go up for parole, they go in there with the parole people out here in L.A., and they sit down there with them, and they usually get their answer that day. It's not like that in Virginia. First of all, you go up for parole with an examiner, and he's not even actually on the parole board. He relays the message back to the parole board, and you may get an answer anywhere from probably 60 days to before you have to go up again in a year. The consensus was that if you didn't get one back within 60 to 90 days, it's like, you in the deck, you got a shot. Man, the time before I made it, the time before the time I made it, I waited for 11 months. So, I never waited.
And were you thinking this is a good sign?
I'm out of here, because that's what everybody was feeling. I'm out of here. But at the same time, when I didn't get it, it like, I was really like, what's going on? What's, what I'm saying? I couldn't understand it because I got to go right back up within, 6 months, and they're saying, within 2 or 3 months. So they're saying that all these reasons why they're giving you for not making it, and then you get me to go back up in like 2 months. So that means these reasons are still gonna exist. Like reasons like, we don't think you served enough time on your sentence, or you need more institutional adjustment. So what are you saying? 2 months is gonna be more time, 2 months is gonna be, so it was like I knew that I'm not gonna make it the next time because of the reasons y'all giving me this time. So, and that's exactly what happened. I went right back up and they gave me a turn down within 60 days. Wow. So I was like, man, this they ain't gonna let me out, and then the next time, the time that I did make it, I went up, I waited, I think 10 and a half months. And usually you get your answer from the counselor. But the warden called me over there. And I didn't know what it was for because I'm like, man, the warden called you, something going on.
Right.
And he called me over there, man, and we was on lockdown at the time. And the day before that, which was so crazy, was I was getting ready, I almost got into a beef with a dude. And I'm telling this dude, man, this ain't what you want, because you mess this parole up, it's gonna cost you, and I'm thinking somebody had told the warden, that, hey, you done went up for parole and spoke up for this dude. He over here getting me to do this, that, or that. So I'm thinking this is what he calling me for, to chastise me about that. But when I get over there, first thing he asked me was, he said, you heard anything on your parole yet? I said, nah. He said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, you ain't make it. So I was like, what? He was like, nah, you ain't make it. So I sat down there and I was trying to, take that in. And within 30 seconds, he just looked at me and said, nah, man, I'm just effing with you. You made it. And it was just all the ways you thought about you when you make it, or how you gonna get there, or how it's just.
Did you want to smack him in the fucking teeth for trying to fuck with you like that?
I wanted to hug him after he said that. I was like, then I didn't believe him because I was like, man, look, yeah. And I actually said to him, I said, look, man, don't play with me like that. Are you serious? Because this is an answer you never heard. Yeah. All you heard was no, deny. So now you hearing yes, you like, are you for real? And I'm like, yeah. He was like. And then he hit me with this. He was like, well, it's official, but not official. I said, well, what that mean?
Yeah.
And he showed me, turned his computer around, showed me his computer. He said, I reached out to somebody, I asked them about you. They said that, you have made parole. They have not sent the paperwork yet, but they're going to fast forward that because of your inquiry or whatever. He said, so you should be getting the paperwork in the day soon. He let me see it on the computer, man, so I knew it was legit. Then he told me, man, go on back to your building, man. Call your people and go on in for lockup, man. So, man, I was walking back, man. That was the best walk I had in prison, man. I just couldn't believe it. It was like I'm walking on air, man.
How many more months after that until you actually were free?
They actually came up back in the day when you made parole like that. You probably be gone within 3 weeks. But now dudes was getting out. They had did a lot of time and was going out there doing crazy stuff. So they came up with a whole new system that said, once you make parole now, you have to go take all these classes because you've been locked up so long, they want to teach you how to use a computer, fill out an application, things like that, and take all these other type of courses that get you more prepared, and that's 5 months.
Because if you take a dude who's been locked up for 30 years and you dump him back out on the street and he's got no money, no place to stay, no opportunities, no family or friends a lot of times, a lot of these guys, if you went in for doing a robbery, shit, like you might be thinking, I guess I got to do another robbery, right?
Right. And you had dudes doing that. You actually had them doing that. And then to me, in my mind, man, I'm telling you, bro, prison is so disgusting to me, man. It's just, I'd be one of these dudes out here homeless or on the street before, I would ever put myself in a position to be back in there. I'm telling you, it's just that disgusting. And this is why I preach this on my YouTube, man, because everything I tell all prison stories on there. And every story, at the end of the story, I'm letting you know this is how you living in prison. So all you dudes out here that's grabbing these guns, y'all joining these gangs, y'all robbing people, y'all think that it's gangster. Y'all don't know what gangster is until you get behind that wall. Because your mama can't help you, your daddy can't help you, your lawyer can't help you. Nobody can help you. Once you get behind that wall, the only thing that's going to help you is when them people say they're going to open the door. And then you got to get to the end of the date when they tell you they're going to open the door. Because you may not make it there. I know dudes that came in, they had 2 years, they got killed. They never going to see the streets. They got killed in prison. I know dudes that came in, dude came out with me. He went in with 5. He did 38 straight for protecting his life in there, trying to, survive in there. He did 38 straight. He came out with me, but he went in with 5. You see what I'm saying?
And just killed people in there and ended up getting that much more time?
Didn't even take a life, but you could stab.
Just the fighting.
Yeah,
wow.
You could stab a dude in there and get 15, 20 more years. And when you get more time in prison, say you get 5 years in prison, you doing a 15-year bit, you get 5 years in prison. Your sentence stop on that 15 years you doing, and you got to do that 5 years that you got in prison, day for day, 365 days, 5 times. Then that time that you already doing starts over.
Wow.
So if you catch 20 years and you just doing a 5-year bit, then you in your 3rd year, and then you got to do 20 more years and then start back on that. So you got dudes that didn't have to do what they had to do in there, and it didn't cost them because, like I say, prison is just a lose-lose, man. It's a lose, and I be trying to let them know that.
This occurs to me. A lot of times I'll interview somebody who goes in and does 10 years or whatever, and sometimes they'll acknowledge that the way they were living, they were so fucked up when they went in that they needed to sit down for a while.
Yeah.
When you look back on it, does it occur to you that like maybe a couple of years would have been good for you at that time, or at least would have been like the kick in the ass that you needed to be like, okay, I'm going to get my life together, get a normal job.
Right.
Did you see any kind of like benefit in that regard, or was this pretty much just pure hell? And were you so fucked up at the time that do you think if you got out after 3 years that you would have just been right back in the streets?
I think if I would have got out anywhere within probably the 3 to 6 year range, I probably would have hesitated for a minute. But if things weren't going right, I probably would have did something stupid. Right. You see what I'm saying? After 10 years, you couldn't pour it on me. You know what I'm saying? Because I seen it. I could see the destruction. I could see the deterioration of life. I could see the hopelessness. I could see the way dudes was living, where they done adjusted to their living. Man, I mean, they treat you like an animal, so you have to live like an animal. They feed you like an animal, but they expect you to act human. You see what I'm saying? And see, it's a lot of dudes, since I've been out here and I see these things, a lot of dudes come out of prison, they talk like, oh, it was this, and man, they lying, man. They lying. I'm telling you, I did 12,345 plus days straight. I know everything about prison. I can't tell you how to fly a plane. I'm not a rocket. You can't tell me about prison. I did it.
Do you know that number now, or did you know that number all along? Were you just counting?
No, I won't. I definitely won't count. I would have went insane for real.
Right.
But I knew once I got out, once I have actually made parole, and I'm sitting in the 5-month program to get out, that's when you start reflecting and you start realizing. And even when you're in reentry, you're never out of prison till you out.
Right.
You never out. Within that 5 months then in the reentry, something can pop off. Anything that happens, any charge you get, they can take the parole back. You see what I'm saying? So I was the most meek that I ever been when I was in reentry. I had to bite my tongue for everything because I didn't want to lose the opportunity that I had.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But then you reflecting back and I'm starting, well, how much is 30? And I count the days then. I added them up. But yeah, 12,000 and some days, man, straight nonstop. So I know what it's like in there, man. And I'm blessed to be out here. I'm blessed to have my common sense. Because like I said, a lot of dudes lose that in there. They lose hope. You know what I'm saying? Dudes go in there, turn into dope fiends. Dudes go in there, do things that they never did in their life because they don't see no daylight.
You never got into drugs in there or anything like that?
That's one thing that I take pride in even to this day, man. I'm 55 years old. I ain't never did no drugs in my life. I don't even smoke weed. I ain't even never smoked weed, so I don't know what it's like. Only thing I ever did in my life was drink some, and I've smoked cigarettes one time when I was in prison, but I quit in prison.
How long did you do it for?
Cigarettes? Yeah. Man, when I started, and I was boxing in prison, which was crazy, and I was so addicted to the cigarettes that I worked out even harder just so I can keep smoking. You know what I'm saying? Which is asinine.
When you're actually working out and you smoke, you start to realize that after a while,
Yeah.
like, I got to work out harder so I can keep smoking, but it's worth it.
But but in your brain, you know, looking back on that, I know it sounds crazy, but that's exactly what I was doing because I just ain't want to stop. But that's why I know I would have been a retarded dope fiend. I would have been crazy if I would have got on drugs. But man, I started in prison and I probably did it for like 17, 18 years before I could, you know, rid it. And then when I ended up ridding myself of it, just because I was telling the story too on my YouTube about now, man, they took to tobacco out of prison in Virginia.
I heard
and
that,
it created such a demand. Tobacco now is more expensive than drugs in prison.
Right.
You could take a pound of tobacco in prison right now and get $5,000.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Easily.
Because you got some heroin or fentanyl or whatever, it's tiny in comparison to a fucking pack of cigarettes.
But more people want to smoke. Like they,
That's
right
true,
before I left prison,
demand,
dudes, a pack of cigarettes, or CO could bring a pack of cigarettes, and Newport's in to get about $300, $350.
Wow.
They'll take one cigarette, take all the stuff out, and make 5 cigarettes and sell them for $7, $8 a piece.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So it's more of a demand in there. But they got so desperate now that the cigarettes was out the system. When I was up in Wallace Ridge, man, you up there with all these hillbillies, and they actually don't supposed to have no tobacco on the compound, period, including the staff.
Right.
Bro, they up there chewing tobacco and don't supposed to have it. But they spit it out when they see a warden or somebody coming, they spit it all out on the yard. Man, I know it's disgusting, but dudes used to actually pick that up.
Ugh.
Take that back to the building.
Oh, Lord.
Burn it and dry it out and make it look fluffy like tobacco, bag it up and sell it. And they getting rich off of it. And they fighting, ready to kill each other for it. You know? Yeah, so that's just how much, you know, the system will condition you. And that's why I tell these dudes this you got your freedom right now, bro, you may be without a job, you may be between houses, you may be, but you in a better position out here to change your circumstances than you are when you get behind that wall. So you need to think before you do something crazy, because once you get behind there, that's a wrap for you. All this is how you gonna live. I don't care what they tell you. This is how you gonna live. This is what it's gonna result to. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about doing time. That's why they call it doing time. Time is the most valuable commodity on earth. And they remove that from you when you do something wrong. They put you in prison. What do they call doing time? Because they're taking away the most valuable commodity that you got.
I think that's the thing that I think about the most when I think about what the system did to your life. And I'm not ignoring the fact that, like, of course, we have to have a judicial system that punishes people for doing bad things. And the situation that you were involved in sounds pretty bad, even if you weren't the one who actually sparked it off or whatever. But it just makes me so angry picturing how you must have felt having your 20s and your 30s and 40s robbed from you, not getting to experience all the things in life that you were supposed to experience during that time as a result of the system that nobody is going to deny is fucked up.
Yeah, but and the crazy part about it is, just like you said, that's the irony of it. Everybody knows from the bottom to the top.
Right.
But won't nobody take the initiative to say, this need to be rebooted, this need to be changed, this need, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy because, like I said, even on the places where they got a gun, right? You could come straight off of the street, man. You fresh out of high school, you 18, you 19 years old, and they put a gun in your hand and tell you, okay, you're officer. If they go across the line, you could shoot them, you could do it. This could be a woman that's at home getting beat by her boyfriend. She's scared of him. She gonna take it out on you first time you say something wrong. This could be a dude that's mad with his situation first. They have control over your life. The abuse that they can't apply on the streets, the attitude that they can't project on the street, they take all of that out on you. You see what I'm saying? And it ain't nothing you could do about it. You in a lose-lose.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just a wicked system, man. And like I say, man, I feel like a hater. A hater, when he go through something, he want to see you go through it too because it hurt him so bad.
Right.
But I feel like a real dude, if I go down this road and I know it's a dead end, I feel obligated when I turn around and come back and say, look, bro, don't go down there. This ain't, it's a dead end.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do with my YouTube. I'm trying to let these dudes know, don't get caught up, man. That's what this motto is. I always say, because it's a boxing metaphor, because I box, but I always tell them at the end of my videos, don't forget to duck the hook.
So you started boxing in prison, or were you doing that before?
Before I went to prison.
Okay.
I should have stuck to that. I would have, it changed my life instead of ripping and running the streets. But then when I got into prison, that was my solace, because they had boxing in there. So I locked in on that for like first decade, 15 years before they took that away.
They took that away too. Wow.
That away.
Was
it's
that
too
heartbreaking?
expensive. Yeah, very heartbreaking. Too expensive. People going to the hospital, too much costing us too much money. But you don't know how much violence you subdued by having that. Dude was able to take it out in the gym.
When did they take the weights out?
Oh,
That
man,
happened at some point too,
yeah,
right?
they started welding them together. They didn't actually take them because dude could pick up a weight and bust your head up. You know what I'm saying? So they start welding all the weights
But
together.
then you just have to lift extremely heavy
Yeah.
amounts.
But you had dudes in there, man. Man, I remember when I first went in, man. And this without all the drugs or whatever, the creatine. You had dudes in there, man, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, man.
Yeah.
Man, that's all they do. Eat
I've heard
weights.
that's part of why they got rid of it is because it's pretty tough on the guards when they got a bunch of 300-pound muscle heads in
And I
there.
can tell you right now, from the time I walked into prison till the time I left, they always scared of the big guy. They scared of the big. He could be big and soft as cotton candy, but as long as he big and he bark, they scared of him. They gonna cater to him because they don't know, because they cowards. You know what I'm saying? So they looking at the size. But like I say, that's why I tell you, man, you got to duck prison at all. Duck the hook. That's what I'm saying. Because not just the hook, the right hook, the left hook, but the hook of the street. Don't let them get their hooks in you with the drugs. Don't let them get their hooks in you with the gangs. Don't let them get their hooks in you, man. Duck all the hooks.
For sure.
Why you out here?
How much violence did you end up actually having to participate in, or were you able to?
Too much.
Really?
Too much, man. Too much. I had attempted murder charge in there one time.
Wow.
Yeah, attempted murder charge in there one time. But at the time that it happened, I felt like it was necessary. The dude, and I always had this philosophy too, that if you kill somebody by accident or on purpose, you have killed, and you could, you have the, the ability to do it again. He had a murder charge, a valid murder charge. I don't know what people do in prison. We don't talk about what your charges is, but I heard about it and I knew about it. Plus, he was like the biggest dude on the compound.
That's kind of the rule, though. You don't bring it up.
No, you don't go in there. You was in prison with me, and everybody said this, that, and I wouldn't have.
Unless you think that they're locked up for the wrong thing, at which point that's
Yeah,
all you're talking about is what's his paperwork,
if they think
right?
he locked up for some kiddie stuff or something like that.
Right.
Or usually the only charge that you ever heard people really verbalize if they know somebody's locked up for messing with a kid or either rape. But other than that, nobody's gonna ever come up to you and that, man, what you locked up for?
Right.
They just don't do that.
Right.
But you heard things, but you don't speak on it.
But so you knew that this guy had that reputation?
And he was the biggest dude on the compound by far. And he didn't like me, but I didn't know the reason he didn't like me was because at this time of my bid, I was like into the extortion game, and I flipped the table, so I'm into that. But the dude that I was actually leaning on, but what I did was he owed me money, so being he didn't pay me my money, I just kept taxing him. But being that I was doing that, I didn't know that the big guy was actually illiterate, and he read his mail for him, and he did all his paperwork for him. So by me leaning on this dude, he had a personal beef with me that I didn't even know about. So we was bumping heads, and I wasn't scared of him because I wasn't gonna fight him anyway. I was gonna put that Bethlehem in him. So, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't scared. I was scared of what I was gonna do to him and what it was gonna cause me. But like I say, he just kept pushing, and then it just came to a head one day, and then he literally told me, he said, man, I'm gonna end up killing you. And that was all it took, because I wasn't gonna wait around and see if he was telling the truth.
So you put it to him?
I put it to him, and they put it to me. You know what I'm saying? I ended up in the hole. I ended up beating the charge, though. You know what I'm saying? I ended up beating the charge, but you're never gonna be the institution charge. But when you do something like that, they take you to the street to give you more time. But I actually beat the street charge on the street. But the institution charge, you're gonna stay in the hole, you're in segregation, man, you're in just a little room, it's like the size of like maybe a 7-Eleven bathroom or something, a little bigger. And there ain't nothing in there but a bed, a toilet, and a sink.
Wow.
And I've been in those for years. You know what I'm saying? And that is the biggest, test not to lose your mind, not to lose your sanity.
Right.
When you waking up every day and ain't nothing there but the same thing, and then the people telling you ain't getting out, you gonna be back here. I've been told before when I was back there one time, you ain't getting out, you gonna do your whole time back here, and my time was infinite. So I'm saying, what? You know what I'm saying? So then you start to rebel, you start to fight, you start to flood, set fires, do all that, so you could try to get transferred and go to another prison where they may let you out. But then they may just stack more charges on you and just leave you back there.
Start fires and flood the prison just to try to get transferred. Damn.
Just to try to get transferred, man. You'd be surprised at the extremes that people go through, and they're just to be heard, man, just for you, because they will ignore you. They will just not pay you no attention whatsoever, man. I've seen people, man, sick and hurting and pain, and they won't acknowledge them. They fill out a request, and they just have to lay out on the floor, man, and just don't do nothing. Then the people gonna come jump on you, beat you up, hog tie you, take you all the way to jail, do all just so you can get some medical attention.
Wow.
Man, right before I left, I had a wisdom tooth. I waited 2 years. I mean, a nerve in my joint. I had waited 2 years for them to do it. They only did it like about 4 months before I came out.
Crazy pain the whole time?
Crazy pain, man. I'm walking around putting tea bags in my mouth, holding tea bag, listen to every remedy people tell me, goggling with salt. I mean, everything, man. It's just, you just got to go through it in there, man. That's why I say, if you out here in this free world, brother, y'all, I'm telling you, man, it is not what you think it is.
How much of your brain, though, like, you hear a lot of people talking about prison reform while they're locked up, and then they get out, and they just kind of forget about it because it's unpleasant to think about the place. Once you're out, it's easy, even for somebody like me, it's easy for me to not think about the fact that I have friends doing 20 years right now, dealing with terrible shit. And you know what? I'm considered a good guy for giving them a call once in a while,
right?
Sending the homie some books. Right. I get the good guy card for that. Right. When you really think about it, it's like I'm living in the fucking lap of luxury out here while they're dealing with the absolute worst shit on earth. Like, is it tempting for you to just kind of move on with your life and be like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna think about that shit?
And that's what a lot of people ask me. But you know what you just said, that's the mindset that most people have. When you say it's convenient for you not to think about, it's not that you don't care about your homies. It's you don't want to deal with that because you got other stuff to deal with.
I mean, there's wars on the other side of the planet. There's terrible malnutrition situations happening in other countries that are worse than anything that's happening in America. And what do we do as Americans? We fucking don't think about it.
Right. But on the other spectrum, when dudes is in prison, that's how they start thinking. Even if it's their family, even if there's a homeboy like you that really, rock with them, they start thinking, man, I ain't heard from such. They start thinking people just don't care. You see what I'm saying? Because you got to look at it from their side. That's how they think. But it didn't take me. I thought like that a lot of times. But when I got out here, I could see, because I get calls now all the time. And people get mad at me, actually, in my family, because if I'm doing this, I answer the calls. I take them all. Because I knew I wanted people to answer mine. You see what I'm saying? And of course, I knew that if I could do something to try to bring light to what was going on in there, I was gonna try to do it. It just so happened when I got out, all this, I don't even know nothing. I didn't know nothing about YouTube, man. I stumbled into it. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, at what point do you start realizing that? Because it feels like the prison YouTube thing is like a well-worn path at this point. Like a lot of prisoners have to be thinking, I'm going to get out and I'm going to tell my story on here, because this seems like there's a pretty big audience who wants to hear this.
I knew nothing about it. It didn't even cross my mind. My goal when I came out, I was going to try to, get a job. I cut hair to a barber. I was going to try to get a job, man, try to build up me some paper, try to get some people to invest and help me. I was going to try to open up a gym. And my thing with the gym was I wanted to teach young, kids how to box. But in order to take these classes, you have to also take my life lessons. You have to also be doing good in school. You have to also can't be involved in no gangs. You can't be, disrespecting your mom. Stuff like that. This was gonna be the criteria for me to give you these boxing lessons, these tools. But when I came out, man, I was probably out like 2.5 months, and somebody reached out to me and told me, say, look, I see this show on there where a dude was talking about he was locked up for 31 years and he telling what was going on in the prison and stuff in Virginia. So if he was locked up 31 years, I got to know who he is. So they told me about the show. I go look at the show, and sure enough, I know the dude.
You recognized him or like knew him?
Knew him real well.
Okay.
Real well. So I was like, man, that's crazy, and I sit there and I listen to him, and some of the things he talked about, I knew about, had knowledge of, or whatever. But that person turned around also and hit the dude that ran the show and told him about me. Hey, he just did 33 years. He just been out for about 2 months. He know everybody in prison. Woo-woo. He contacted me. He asked me if I want to do an interview. You know what I'm saying? I said, I ain't really trying to do no interview. He was like, man, I just want to talk about prison stuff. I know you know a lot of people. They know you, your name, I checked on you.
So he offered the interview and you weren't interested at first?
I really wasn't, because I didn't know what it was, and I ain't never did nothing like that before.
Because I feel like doing all those years, if I was doing 30 plus years, that I would be just like thinking like, when I get out, I want somebody to hear this fucking story. Like I want to tell my story, because you must feel so voiceless for all those years while you're locked up.
That's the exact word. You do feel voices, but at the same time, by me never being in front of a microphone, never, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, and then he was like, man, look, I'm gonna pay you for your time, man. You know what I'm saying? He's like, look, I can give you $100 an hour, And I'm thinking in my mind, $100, I'm jack broke. You know what I'm saying? So I said, well, what you trying to talk about? He said, I just want you to just talk about your experience in prison, whatever. I said, all right. So boom, I ended up doing, $100 an hour, which I'm thinking a whole lot of money, but I ain't with him for 2 hours, $200. But still, it was $200 that I didn't have. So I did the first interview with him, man, and I ended up, I think to this day, that interview right there got like 800-something thousand views. He called me back, do another one. That one got like 700. He asked me, what else you used to do in prison? I told him I used to box, and I used, I cooked my own food because the food in there was horrible. I had to learn how to cook. I cooked my own food. I ain't like eating nobody else's food. I ain't want nobody else making the food for me because I don't know what they put in it. So I became a good cook, and I told him, so he said, man, let's cook something on the show. I cooked something on the show. I did my version of a piece. I got 1,000,004 views.
Wow.
Then I did a lasagna, got like 800,000. So he just was making views, and then, that's my son right there, Hollywood Trail. He shoot music videos and stuff like that. So he was like, look, just go ahead and start your own YouTube. People listening to your story is your story, And
How'd you have a son?
How?
How'd that work? I mean, I know about the birds and the bees, but it feels like this timeline doesn't make sense based on how I know it works.
I got a son and a daughter before I went to prison.
Before? Okay.
Yeah, I had a daughter at 16, and his birthday is actually Friday. He'd be 34.
Wow.
I only did 33 years, so
okay.
My daughter's 37.
Wow, so that adds a whole different element to it. Like, man, when I think about, even I went away for 3 days this weekend. I get back and it was like I'm seeing little developments with my kid. My kid's only 16 months, so was that must have added a whole nother layer of torture to doing that time.
Oh, most definitely, man. Because when you in there, man, that's just part of the grief, man. Part of the sorrow. You feel so hopeless, man. You feel so useless. You feel like a failure because you're not there. You're not there for nothing. You're not there for school. You're not there for graduation. You're not there for their accomplishments, their failures. You're not there for nothing. Either it has to be over a phone or through a visiting room, which is very, infrequent. So it's just, like I say, you have to compartmentalize all of that because that is why people lose their mind, because they're going through all of those things and they don't know how to deal with it, and they have to have an outlet to let it out. And only outlet in there is violence. That's the only thing anybody's gonna listen to in prison. No whistle, no holler, no violence is the only thing that's gonna be listened to in there. But violence comes with consequences. You know what I'm saying? Win or lose, it's consequences. So it was difficult, man. I feel blessed to be out here today and have a good relationship with him, good relationship with my daughter, good relationship with my grandkids. It gives me joy. I was blessed to come out here and get this interview, but I was coming out here to, be with him on his birthday. First time I'll be with him birthday in 34 years.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So, and it's first time in LA, so it's beautiful.
I can't lie, man. It's moving. Just like thinking about the fact that so much of that was taken from you, regardless of the circumstances. I mean, who did you feel like held you down during that time period? Who were you able to actually lean on?
Man.
Yeah.
My family, man. My mother, man. Praying mother, man. She never left my side. I've been in places, man. It was 8 to 12 hours away, man. My mom would come see me, man.
Wow.
I've been transferred. I've been to 13 different prisons. My mom would come see me. I've been in segregation where they got to come see you and you got to go in there and talk through a glass like you see on TVs and stuff. My mom would come see me. You know what I'm saying? My family, man, they held me down. So that gave me more of, and my kids did I want to get out here and do something. Like you say, I could just forget, put it behind me. They said, man, you did all that time in prison, man, and, go ahead and live your life, whatever. But I want to be able to stop somebody else from doing all that time in prison. I want to be able to do something, too. I'm not just remembered for, he just did 33 years in prison.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I know that I wasted a lot of potential, but I also know that I'm only 55. I can do anything I want to do. You know what I'm saying? If I survive prison, I can do anything I want to do. So, I'm just going to keep on pushing and keep on, getting people to try to listen.
The world has changed a lot. I mean, these opportunities that you have to be a content creator and shit were just not, they weren't available to anyone when you went in. I mean,
I tell you, when I tell people this all the time, they start laughing, but I'm serious. When I got out, I thought YouTube was actually, because you used to hear in there, you always say, man, YouTube, you look it up on YouTube. I thought it was just actually something to show all these clips, and I actually thought it was spelled like the letter U and two. That's how much I knew about YouTube.
Right.
I knew nothing about it. And I'm blessed, man. The people who follow me, I got like 53,800 subscribers in less than a year.
Guys, let's get that number up right now.
Yeah,
we're gonna hit 100K after this interview, right?
Let's get it. Yes, no doubt. And they loyal. the first day of any video I post, I average 10,000 views within 24 hours.
Right.
You know, and I feel blessed, man, because just like you said, ain't nobody listened to nothing that I had to say for 33 years. So just for 53,000 people to listen to me and take pride, and I get the things they write me, man. Oh man, I was on the fence, homie. I'm putting the gun down, man. The way you explain prison, I don't want no parts of that. And that's what I want. That's what I get joy. When I could get one of those. You know, I got a dude that he hit me now, man, and he's just being so sincere, man. He done named the YouTube, started YouTube and called himself the Bethlehem. But he 25.
Right.
And he's struggling with a dope addiction that he had all his life.
Wow.
And he said, man, the only thing that's keeping me from going out here and trying to rob somebody or going out here and doing something crazy is listening to your YouTube, man. You know, and that stuff right there, I can feel that, you know. I actually found his number and called him. Right. You know, and talked to him the other day for like 40 minutes and telling him, man, you 25, man.
Wow.
You 25. I was in prison the whole time you was alive. Everything you've seen, everything you've done, every place you've been, I was sitting in a cell. I said, I'm out here trying to do something else so you can do anything you want to do.
But do you ever think about the fact that, and I mean, it's the same shit that happens in rap or YouTube, et cetera, where it's kind of like you need life experience in order to have people even be interested in what you're talking about, realistically. As a rapper, if you've never done shit, what are you talking about? It's going to be hard for the audience to latch on to you. Right. A lot of times I heard it said, like, in the hood, there's only two ways that you gain a reputation. You kill somebody or you go to prison, and that's pretty much it. Or, you know, not kill somebody, violence in general.
Right.
But, I mean, that right there, like, it is kind of hard to convince, like, a 25-year-old dude of, hey, be a square. You don't want to be involved in this bullshit. Look at a guy like this. Look at all these different examples we have of people who are going to tell you that it's a horrible idea to get wrapped up in the streets. But there's just so many people feel like they got to learn that lesson because they feel like they're not authentic unless they have a big chunk of their life in which they were living a certain way, you know?
Yeah, but see, that's why I try to explain to them that, first of all, there's no one on this planet that can guarantee you when you go in prison, whether you got 2 years or 20 or 2 life sentences, no one on this planet can guarantee you're going to come out.
Right.
So why would you take that chance? You know, to prove what and to prove to who? You see what I'm saying? And I always let them know, the person who's telling you to do this, the person that you're trying to impress, they're not doing it. The person who's rapping in this music and telling you they did this, they not doing that, bro. If they was doing that, they would be in prison. That's a metaphor. They actors. I say for acting, you get a check. In real life, you get prison.
The problem now, though, too, is that there's a lot of people, it's so easy to be a rapper. A lot of the rappers are the actual killers. Like the killers just decide, hey, fuck, I'm gonna do a music video too because I can speak so authentically about it, and then inevitably it gets brought up in court. And,
you got a few. You got a few of
the star rappers are not currently selling kilos of cocaine,
right?
Even if their lyrics say that, yeah.
And they're not with the money that they're making there and the platform that they're on right now. They could talk all they want. They could talk underwater. They're not gonna pick a gun up and go shoot nobody.
They have
and
security
go do 20
for a
years.
reason.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that. You see what I'm saying? So why would you try to emulate something that's not even doing it their self? And then, like I say, the ultimate thing is, whatever you do, you are going to have to pay for. If you think you built this set up in a prison cell and away from everything you love, if you like women, forget about it. If you like money, forget about it. If you like dressing, you think you're going to sit in there for year after year, day after day, decade after decade just to prove something to somebody? Right. You got to be an idiot. You see what I'm saying? And like I say, on my YouTube, I don't cuss. I don't exaggerate. Everything I say is authentic. I don't know what nobody else doing. You got ex-officers that come on my page. There was guards where I was, authenticating everything that I say. I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you. I'm not going to sit up here and try to make you think that I was the worst killer in the world. I was who I was. I'm lucky to be out here. I acknowledge that. I could have died with any one of them days in 12,000 some days. I could have died. I could have took another life and never got out here. But what I'm trying to tell you is you ain't got to do none of that. Because right now you hold all the cards. You know, you the one that can submit that by going out there doing something stupid, by trying to be in a gang and want to pop somebody because somebody else tell you. That's akin to me, from my point of view, like suicide bombers. You know, who gonna drive into a building or go do this or blow themselves up because somebody told me? He ain't gonna do it. Why would I go do that and he not gonna do it? I'm ending my life to, you know, I'm breaking my leg so he can walk. And that's what I've tried to explain to them. Don't do no foolishness because of what you think somebody else would do. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen that way, man. You got to think for yourself, your life. You're going to pay the consequences for it, man.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking about it from your perspective. 1987, you go in. Hip-hop music at the time in 1987, from my recollection, they're not talking about gangs in the music at all.
Not at all.
You get into the 90s and you start realizing that these guys are rapping or talking about gangs and stuff, but it's not terribly specific. Now we're in 2022 where you can listen to music and figure out everything that's going on in the streets and who's from where and what block has beef with this block, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, in a lot of ways, it feels like even though the world is getting, more progressive and there's more ways for a kid to earn a living and you don't have to be a gangster, you don't you can rap and not be a gangster. It's a total option these days. Yeah. But it feels like in some ways, like the world is going in a worse direction where the music is more tied in with the violence than we ever could have imagined 30 or 40 years ago.
Because they trying to sell now. It's all about money now. Mm-hmm. It's not really about the content. When rap first started, rap was about who could put the words together the greatest, who could, make, it flow with the beat and everything. Now it's about money. The more violent you talk, the more killer you are, the more drugs you sold, the more jewelry you wear, the Bentleys and all of this and the girls, then people want to see that because they want to emulate that. They want that. So they thinking that these dudes have that, so they figuring like that's what they want. So they want to emulate that. But like I say, these dudes, I'm not going to say everybody out there rapping ain't, some of them done dibbled and dabbled and stuff.
Right.
I'm telling you, I know for a fact they're not doing it now.
Right.
They're not going to do it now. Because they have got to a place of comfortability that they would never do that because they're not going to take yourself off. You see listen, before I went in, snitching was, snitches in there they couldn't even live on the compound.
Right.
But now, when I was exiting out of prison, oh man, they try to beat you to tell. Oh, they want to tell first. You see what I'm saying? And you all right in prison if you was a snitch, if you get drugs.
Right.
If you get drugs, they ain't gonna let you kill the snitch because he the drug dealer and they want to get drugs.
Right.
Oh man, he snitched on set. Yeah, but he getting the drugs, man. Leave him alone right now.
I think it's also worth mentioning that, like, even just in the scenario that you were describing that got you locked up, I mean, it sucks that you got caught. You probably would have got caught so much faster off that same thing these days because there's 15 fucking cameras on the block. There's cameras inside the store. There's ballistics. There's DNA. There's like crimes that were relatively reasonable that you could have thought that you would get away with in the 70s or 80s nowadays are just automatic. Like, if the cops care enough, you're going down.
Bro, it's like, that's one thing I acknowledged when I first got out here. I was like, man, these people see you everywhere. It's just like, just imagine being going that long. I come everywhere I go. When I first went to Walmart, man, I almost lost my mind. I was so uncomfortable. It just was crazy. But it's just like everybody's walking around with a phone. The kids walking around with a phone. People walking around with a phone. Somebody raised their voice. They aim the camera at you. So it's like people just out there doing stuff now like carjacking and out here. It's like, to me, I'm like, bro, do y'all not realize that it's prison waiting for you? They keep the light on. They keep a cell open for you. And it's just like they do the stuff that's just is no way possible you can get away with.
There's a rapper, FBG Duck, who's a very gang-related rapper from Chicago who passed away. And when he got killed, it was basically like he was at a Louis Vuitton store waiting in line in a nice part of Chicago. And some other gang members got alerted that he was there. The cops have footage of them. Well, they have the text messages of them being alerted to him being there.
Right.
They have video from the projects that they were living in of them like running down the corridor and the stairs, I believe, of them getting in the cars, of them on the highway. They got a million different cameras on the highway showing your car rushing to go commit this murder. That's not even to say anything about the footage that they have of the actual murder because there's cameras outside all these stores and stuff. So when the cops actually came down with this indictment or these charges, it was mind-blowing. Like, this is an open and shut case. Maybe some Hail Mary play, some miracle happened that they won't go down for this.
Right.
But it was mind-blowing to me that because it makes you feel like, holy shit, why are they not solving every other murder in Chicago? This was a high-profile one in a high-profile, affluent area.
Right.
So they had an extra incentive to solve it.
Right.
But man, like, nobody should feel safe running around doing any of this dumbass shit.
I think I've seen since I've been out. I think I've seen online when they kill the dude Mo 3.
Yeah.
I seen the thing.
Footage of that.
Young Dolph.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm like, bro, I just don't. King Von.
Right.
I'm like, I don't get it, bro. I don't get it because that's what I'm saying. people don't understand the consequences of what they're doing. Or in these dudes' cases, I don't know if they think money gonna actually get them off or whatever. But when you in a certain position and you doing certain things, man, money is not even gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? And then those dudes, like I say, that's doing that, they doing it over a gang beef or over territory, over he said, she said. Man, you all out there getting money.
Right.
You all out there getting money that people won't even get. Before I went to prison, it was almost an impossibility. It was just one or two people might be getting that type of money. So the money is so plentiful right now, and so many people is doing so many different things. Why would you want to, y'all should be, praising each other instead of trying to tear each other down. But it's like every one of them want to be the biggest one. Every one of them want to be the hardest one. Every one of them want to be the, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna want to be none of that in prison. Like you said, the square, I can show you every dude I know in prison. Every dude I know in prison that's still in prison right now would trade places with the dude that work at the 7-Eleven. I can guarantee you that. They would trade places with the dude that work at the 7-Eleven to come up out of that hell.
And when you really look at the two side by side, yeah, I don't want to live my life standing up selling fucking Skittles and Marlboros, but compare that to living your life behind bars. When you're done selling the Skittles, you get to go home to your wife and your kids and have a life, And that's what's so sad, though, is in a lot of ways I feel like social media has kind of like convinced a lot of these young kids that it would be better for you to, go shoot somebody or go commit this crazy crime to have these nice things that you see rappers have on Instagram, that somehow that's a better solution than you having a normal fucking job and making $40,000 a year and just living a humble existence,
Well, I'll tell you right now, like I said, I know so many dudes still locked up, man. I get calls every week, man. I'm talking about from it, several different dudes. Dudes that's been down 12 years all the way up to 45, 50 years. It's no one of them that would not trade their job out here, a janitor job. They wouldn't trade their position to work in 7-Eleven. It's none of them. You know what I'm saying? And I can't sit here and tell you one. So that right there would tell somebody, that's the reality, man. If you out here, like I say, you winning. You can only lose by the decisions that you make. You know what I'm saying? At the end of all my videos, I always say it's 3 things that's gonna help you. I say be smart, be safe, and make good decisions. Those 3 things right there change your life, bro. If you be smart, you be safe, and you make good decisions, man, when it comes down to that pivotal moment, should I do this? Man, you got to think. And if you make the right decision, you're gonna be all right. Like I say, it's 2, everybody wanna be successful, no doubt. Everybody. But you can't take the elevator to success, man. You gotta take the stairway. May take longer, you may get tired, it might work you out. But when you get to the top, can't nobody take it from you, bro. If I go out here and sell drugs or go rob somebody and make $5-10 million in 10 years, people can come take it in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. That's asinine. That don't add up on nobody's scale. But if I take me 10, 15 years to acquire this or to establish myself and I do it the right way, can't nobody take that from me, ever. I've earned that. You see what I'm saying? But people just don't want to put that work in, man, and you got to put that work in if you want to have the things out of life that you want to have, man. It's just that simple, man. Like I say, even with the YouTube right now, they tell me, they say, man, you the only dude on YouTube, man, because most of my videos be 45 minutes or long. They say, man, you the only one put videos. I put videos out every night. Every night. You see what I'm saying? Because I know they sitting there waiting for me. If I miss a day, they be hitting me in the comments, is you all right? You sick, Banky? You all right? But I want them to get the message. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, I wake up early, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but at the same time, that's my work ethic because I know they waiting for it.
Are you doing YouTube full time?
Yeah. That's all
dope.
I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
That's very cool to hear.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Because being locked up is pretty fucking awful.
Right.
Having a job can kind of suck. Doing something. Yeah. I'm sure if you were sitting in a fucking factory screwing 2 parts together all day, that you'd be like, well, thank God that I'm out of prison. But this is still pretty fucking shitty. Like the idea that you got out and are able to actually just be creative for a living, I mean, that warms my fucking heart.
Yeah, man, I rationalize it, man. When I be up, and I'm learning everything. I don't, that's my editor. He edited my stuff. You know what I'm saying? I sit there, I make the videos because it's easy. I got, infinite 12,300 some days worth of stories. So I could go on and on because it's a scenario in prison every day.
Right.
So I'm just been blessed with a great memory. So I sit there and I make the videos and I upload them and I send them to him all the way out here in Cali because he live out here. I send them to him all the way out here. He edits it and all that and he sets the date and he put them out. So I'm sitting there sometimes for hours and hours and hours and then I'm got to upload and all of the stuff that I'm learning. But at the same time, it's a grind. But at the same time, I say it beats where I come from.
Hell yeah.
I sit in the cell all day, every day. Work out, watch TV, drink coffee, play chess, and then repeat. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing gonna change. It's Groundhog Day every day in prison, and they just hope don't nothing pop off. You know what I'm saying? So this is what you doing. So if I got to do all of this, so be it.
What else do you find joy in now that you're free? Like, what's the shit that really makes you feel alive?
Man, meeting people like Adam. I didn't, hey, bro, this blow my mind. I mean, it don't seem like it, but it's crazy. I watch you. You know what I'm saying? I actually watch you, And, it's a couple of people that reached out to me since I got out, man, through my YouTube, man, which just was mind-boggling to me. Like, how this person know who I was? And people were sending my DMs. I didn't know what the DMs was. He called me one night and said, man, you got to check the DMs, man. You got people in there. And the first person who reached out to me that was, as you could say, like a star or something, was Sada Baby.
Oh, really? Wow.
Sada Baby made a comment on my Instagram posting about my YouTube, my cooking zone. And he actually hit me and then said, man, call me, And you know what I'm saying? I was chopping it up with him for a while. He said, man, if you ever out in Detroit, But I was on parole, all this, couldn't really move like that.
Right.
He reached out to me. Then the dude, Nino Brown, he reached out to me, and then I ended up meeting, shout out to that dude, man. He was real cool too. Ant Harris, man, played cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings for 6 years, and then he's a cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles. He reached out to me. I actually went out to one of his back-to-school drives because I'm out there in Virginia. He's from Richmond. I went out there with him and the dude that's out here with y'all, Colin Farrell. He plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. I met them dudes. I worked with them and, talking to the kids and whatnot. Man, it's been crazy. I met Nikki Giovanni, the great poet, because my sister my niece is at Virginia Tech, and my sister is an AKA. Nikki Giovanni was an AKA. I went to that event. College coach, man, I'd be remiss without calling him out, man. ECSU, man, he loved my videos, man. He wanted me to come out and talk to his students, man. He actually got me out. That was my first speaking engagement. I spoke at Elizabeth City State University. Spoke to the student body and his students. So the YouTube, without the YouTube, I would have never met none of them people. You see what I'm saying? And each one of them to me was equally as exciting because I ain't been nowhere. I ain't seen nothing. I ain't done nothing, I've been in a cage, So to meet these people who've actually been out here and got these type of accomplishments is still mind-boggling to me. When we walk through that door, they'll tell you, I said, man, hey, I don't know about this. But when the dude opened the door, the dude with the beard, I knew
Kiki.
him from watching. Yeah.
You knew him from the channel.
I knew him from watching your show, right?
Well, you thought that this was a little weird?
No,
It seemed a little sketchy?
Yeah, no, from the outside.
Okay,
Because from looking at this is what I see when
Doesn't
I see
look like a whole lot
on TV. But no, but I'm saying from the outside, like I didn't know it would be like the door warehouse. I thought, this is a great big old studio somewhere or something. Then we got to the back and the Uber let us out, right? I'm like, man, this ain't no Adam
all
joke,
an
man.
elaborate setup.
Yeah, so I'm in there. I'm getting ready to call my people and say, look, call them and make sure that this is the right place we at or whatever. And then, a boy walked out right and I said, oh, yeah, that dude on the show right there.
Okay.
Then we walked past there. When I walked in here and I seen you right there doing the interview, I said, man, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I said, this is crazy. Then I sit in, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at everything. I said, man, yeah, this is crazy, man. Then I'm actually, for real, I'm just being honest, dudes be faking away. I'm a realist, right? I was actually sitting there, I said, man, that's Adam right there. You know what I'm saying? I was tripping, man, so, it's those type of things, man, like I said, I might process this even later on, but it's, just being around my grandkids, man, being able to be with my son, man, for his birthday, being in L.A., you know what I'm saying? Being in L.A., man.
Did you process the dynamic that you were sitting on the couch watching me interview somebody who is basically well known because he comments on Kanye West's Instagram a lot?
I didn't know who dude was, right?
That's okay.
I didn't know who he was, right? But I was looking at him, right? And I was trying to pick up, like, what y'all was actually talking about. And I was looking at, but he came over there, introduced himself and everything. And I asked myself, man, what, you a rapper or something?
When I saw him and you exchanging numbers, I was like, well, that's an interesting link up right there.
When I told him what I did, right, he was like, he said, man, let me get your Instagram. So I said, boom, okay. So I was trained with him, but I thought he was a rapper or something, right? I ain't know. But, most...
He does rap, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, battle rap or whatever he does. But, I just, I was like, okay, man, you in Adam's studio, you something about it. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I was looking at it.
I'll be honest, it warms my heart. It makes me feel really good when I have people in here who are YouTubers or small content creators, or they only have a year or two in the game or whatever, and they look at what I got going on and I can see them getting excited and getting inspired and realizing like, oh, he did this all off of just making fucking content. Because when I started doing this, there was really like very little evidence available to me that this
Right.
could be a real business.
Right.
2015, 2016, it was just like, you know, there were other podcasts I looked at, but I didn't really know that they were making money. I don't know how much money they were making, or never mind that I would ever get to the point where I would be able to have, 10 people working for me or whatever.
It's crazy. That's what I know when I seen all the dudes, like I watched a show and I seen the dudes like backstage and I was seeing all these different people, right? I was like, man, and then like I say, that's how I process things. Like I say, coming from where I come from. I'm looking at it like, well, boom. Yeah, I want to reach as many people as I can. I want to try to get the message out to as many people as I can. Okay, I don't know how, but I just keep pushing. But then, like I say, I rationalize. I say, I know it's possible because I see you and I see other people that started from YouTube. So that's the way I rationalize stuff, by me not being out here, by me not being. I know it's possible because when you can see an end, because someone has already done it. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's the way I look at it, right? So that's why I said, man, I watch you, so I knew. And then when I seen you, and then when they say when you answered, and I kind of, the way, I don't know if that was you who answered the email.
It was.
But the way you answered the email, I actually told my people, I said, now that sounds like Adam.
I think I wrote, all right, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, no, you said, oh, hell yeah, I F with him. And when you said that, I said, and they was like, man, this email say that. I said, man, that sound like Adam. You know what I'm saying? I said, that sound like Adam. That was the thing that I was holding on
No,
to.
because I sat down when I got the email and I watched like a 15-minute video with you, and I was like, fuck with him.
Yeah, that's exactly that was on the email. That's when I said, I said, yeah, it might be Adam. And then like I say, by me being so green to it, the only place that I did interviews with dudes, but I did interviews with people that's like only come up like me and on the same level. They asked for an interview, and I do it. And the biggest thing that I had did was I went out and spoke at that college. That's a ECB. That's a black, historical black HBCU, historical black college university. So that was just like a blessing to me. And the head coach invited me out there. And I had a couple of other people. I got a dude now, he reached out to me. He said he watched my YouTube and helped him get through his last year of law school. He's out there in Mississippi now. He's a public defender. And he's locked in with Deion Sanders in Jackson State. And he said, man, I want to get y'all here to talk to Deion kids and stuff like that. But actual to do something, I've got things on the table that people trying to do. And I had started a podcast with the dude that I first went on his joint. But he got so busy doing other things that it just faded out. And without him, I had no knowledge about, or no avenue. So he just faded out. So I just grind back on my YouTube, just kept on.
But you're staying in Virginia still right now?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia. Yeah.
There's got to be somebody out there who would be down to help you get the podcast off the ground.
Yeah.
If anybody's watching this and wants to tap in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because I just feel like I say, man, I feel like my experience is universal to all young people.
Yeah.
Because they need to know what you actually facing. Because it's the same thing with me. And I know, like I say, it may sound crazy, but when you think about it, like I say, man, people know when they're young like that. They know when they're doing wrong. They just don't know the consequences. You need to supply them with the consequence. What's the first thing most people, mom and dad, tell them when you're young? Say, don't do this, don't do that. And the first thing they say, you say, why? They say, because I said so.
Yeah.
We got to cut that out, man. You got to tell them the why. They need to know the why. You know what I'm saying? They need to know the why, because this can happen to you, that can happen to you. They don't know that. You see what I'm saying? So when they parents them tell them, because I said so, they take that as authority, then they go out on the street and they listen to the knucklehead who don't know no more than what you know.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that needs to be changed, the narrative. And what I do in my videos, man, I let them know this is what's going on in here. This is the life you're going to live. Now, you might be built for this. If you built for this, then come on with it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah, I want to see it. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, it ain't guaranteed, bro, that you coming up out of that. So I try to supply them with that, you know what I'm saying, the consequence, the knowledge. So it puts something on their mind. You can listen to these dudes out here in the game just telling you, come on, join this set and do this, do that. You can listen to the dude that hand you a gun and tell you go rob this. You can listen to the dude that give you a package and all that. Or you can look at what history has proven to be unchanged.
Right.
And look at all of those dudes and tell me where the end of the road is for them. It's either the graveyard or prison. So, that's what it is.
For sure. 2 more questions.
For sure.
Number 1, when I was interviewing Big Herc of the Fresh Out channel, does a lot of prison talk, one thing I kind of sensed is that he found it a little strange that it seemed like his view count would be, what it was, and then there'd be the videos where he's talking basically about prison rape. And those ones would be 10 times the views.
Right.
a lot of YouTubers deal with this, where if I talk about a certain rapper, maybe I get 1 million views. If I talk about, how my weekend went, maybe I get 50,000 views. It's all over the place. What is that for you? Like what did you notice that your audience goes crazy for?
I'm just getting to that point to figure it out, because usually I stayed away from that type of stuff for a lot of reasons. Number one, because some of the people that I was talking about, they got families, and their families ain't got nothing to do with what they was doing in there. That's more or less. But a few stories, like I just did a story because I felt like that story that I did, it was relevant. It was about a couple that was in there, but the couple went hard. The people, they was a couple, but if you mess with this one, that one was coming just up, but that one was considered a homosexual. That video right there, I think to date, it's been up like 3 weeks, going on 3 weeks, it's almost at 100,000 views. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I put out my regular stories, first day, I usually get 10,000 views. That's a given. But then it starts tapering down, and it might end up at 50, 60,000. Right. That one right there is traveling fast. I didn't know if it was because of that content. I did another one on one day because he had a historical case in Virginia. He was a homosexual. He tried to, cut his penis off, and he got the laws changing in Virginia, made them give him hormone shots and all of that. Took him to court and he won and all that. And he was just well known in prison. So I did a story on him. And that's getting a lot of views. So I do see that. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not going to turn my channel into that, because that's not what I'm trying. Right. If you go into prison, if you don't think somebody can make you a homosexual, then you already late in the game. You know what I'm saying? If you don't think that is a threat, then you already late in the game. So I don't want to just focus on it. I want you to focus on all the other things that could possibly happen to you, all the life that you're going to lose, all the time that you're not going to be able to get back. You see what I'm saying?
Although the prison rape is a pretty strong incentive to not go to prison. Even if that was the only thing. Even if it was really nice.
Right.
But if there's some big-ass dudes roaming around trying to rape you, I mean, that's going to stop a lot of people.
But see, it's been so watered down that dudes, that don't seem like to be enough for them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It don't seem like to be enough, because everybody and their mama knew that was a threat about prison from the beginning of time. Man, if you go to prison, somebody might rape. You see what I'm saying? So they know that, but that still have not deterred them. They still getting in gangs, they still robbing, they still, so that haven't deterred them. I want them to understand the day-to-day life in prison. When I tell a video in there, if I do a story, I'm telling you what happened in all of these different incidents, and then I let you know, this happened within 24 hours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is what you're going to go through. This is the stress. This is the chaos. This is the head on the swivel. Man, I still be looking around there. People be looking at me sometimes, because when people walk around me, it's just a habit. It's a force of habit for me to look, because a dude can walk by you 3-4 times and don't say nothing, and in the sixth time he might, and you late. You see what I'm saying? So I need them to understand this. Do you want to live paranoid every day? Not just worried about being raped, worried about being robbed, worried about being killed, worried about being disrespected, worried about being treated inhumane, worried about not getting your proper nutrition because you can't eat right, not getting proper medical care. Do you want to encompass all of that just to try to make some money out here that somebody can take from you?
Yeah.
It don't make sense.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man. So that's the message that I be trying to tell.
I find you very inspirational, because a lot of times I'll be looking at my life. I'm almost 40, and sometimes I feel old, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've been grinding for so fucking long on this shit, which is a good feeling, built something on myself and everything. But sometimes I feel like, maybe I only got 30, 35 years left. So like, what am I going to do? I start to get a little paranoid, thinking like, what do I want to accomplish before I'm gone? Like you only really have so much time that you can really expect. And even that's generous. You never know, the car accident that takes somebody out early or whatever. I look at you coming back into the real world after all these years and seeing how motivated you are to fucking build something and to communicate with the people, and it's very motivational to me, because I see you really appreciating the fact that you got anybody paying attention and having any opportunity to speak to the world. You
have to put that in perspective. That's the way I put it in perspective. I always tell myself, nobody cared what I said for 3 decades. So if I got one person listening, you know what I'm saying? I always joke with them when I'm on my YouTube. I say, talk to me, man. I talk back. You know what I'm saying? But because nobody cared what you had to say. I can remember in my mind just yelling and screaming, hey, CO, kicking the door, hollering, screaming, doing all this foolishness just to be heard. So if somebody's listening to you, man, that's a blessing. And in most things that, we don't, that we take for granted out here, man, people in there, man, these are things that they pray for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then like in your case, what you say, you are the type of person that motivates me because I see what you did and where you at. You see what I'm saying? So it lets me know this is possible.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And then for you to just say you almost 40, how old are you?
38.
38. You see what I'm saying? I was in prison, man. You 4, 5 years old.
You
see what I'm
skated
saying?
right past 38, yeah.
And now I'm sitting here talking to you. And look at all you have accomplished in all the time that I was gone. See what I'm saying? So that lets me know, what can be accomplished. I put things in perspective. I be like, man, who you look at all the people that has arisen and got in such world-known positions and will be remembered forever that didn't even exist when I went in prison.
Right.
LeBron James, Serena Williams, all these people, they didn't even exist, man. Kobe Bryant. Now look, they have left their mark on the world. You see what I'm saying? Like you say, if you stop right now, your mark can still be left here, man. So you've accomplished a lot. You created No Jumper. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Coolest podcast in the world. You know what I'm saying? So you already have created something, did something, man, before you're 40 that most people would never do. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I be trying to use as inspiration. This is what I be trying to tell these other cats, man. Man, don't throw your life away like the 25-year-old dude. I said, bro, you 25.
Right.
You can stop what you're doing right now. Get it together, and in 10 years you could be where you want to be or on the path to what you want to be. You see what I'm saying? So like I say, man, you've done more, man, before 40 than most people would do in their lifetime, man.
Appreciate that. I was at my friend's funeral the other day, and maybe it's because I was in an emotional state from the funeral, but like a kid who was maybe 18 or whatever came up to me, and he just said, he's like, I look up to you. Like you really inspired me.
Yeah.
And I have people say that kind of shit to me a lot, but something about the way this kid was saying it to me and the fact that I'm in the middle of fucking South Central in this church, and just really realizing that this kid looks at me as somebody who was like one of the pioneers of figuring out how you could go from nothing to having a big ass fucking platform from just putting the work in. Like,
right.
I don't know. It just like really moved me, and I've still been thinking about it ever since.
Yeah, because those are the things that get you, man. And like I say, I didn't know that, but see, that's another thing. Like, I read all my comments. You know what I'm saying? I be sitting there, I be reading them, and
Same, honestly. I probably read fucking 90% of them.
Yeah, and I try to, and they tell me, they say, man, people don't be reading all them comments, and I leave a heart or I leave a comment with their comment or whatever. And another thing that I do, since I even been doing it, I every video that I put out is a premiere. I put a premiere video, and I live chat with them.
That's a good one.
The first time to come on. So I be on the live chat with every premiere video, you know what I'm saying? So you're talking about, now I put out video almost every day, 7 days a week. I'm on the live premiere because everyone, when it first come out, is premiere. So I live chat with them and all of that, man. And I go live every Saturday, you know what I'm saying, and talk to them because I want them to understand that I'm trying to reach y'all because I want to reach, even if it's one person. But when one of them people hit me back and tell me, man, stuff like, man, you changed my life, I be mind blown, but I feel it, like you said with the little boy. I feel it because I'm like, okay, all right, and well, you don't need to get tired. I gotta keep grinding. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody else might change the course of their life. They might change the trajectory. They might be thinking about, oh, I can go out here, I can get money like this, or I could get away. I ain't gonna get caught. What's the odds, bro? You know what I'm saying? It's just like saying I'm gonna start smoking crack. I ain't gonna become a crackhead. That ain't what the history say. You know what I'm saying? So what's the odds? So when they do that, man, it's like I said, motivate. Being on here is gonna motivate me even more. You see what I'm saying?
I gotta ask this just because I'm curious. How the ladies been treating you since you got out?
Oh man, they care a little bit more about me than they did when I was in there. Yeah. But I be so focused, man. I just be. This is what I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, don't be too focused, man.
No, I ain't too focused. I ain't saying, you know what I'm saying? I ain't saying I don't like the women because, I love the women, but at the same time, I'm trying to, be in a position. I can't do nothing for a woman, but me. You know what I'm saying? I'm broke right now. It ain't nothing I can do for you, right? So you need to acknowledge that. And while I'm trying to get something, then that's where most of my focus need to be.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because
this is true.
Yeah, I've been removed for so long, bro. You know what I'm saying? I can't get nothing. Only I got a YouTube check.
That's the icing on the cake.
Yeah, every now and then I got to cut hair
first. Yeah.
I got to break the clippers out and cut hair to make ends meet. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but most definitely I understand that concept.
I mean, you seem like you'd be a great barber. Just that barber conversation is good. You seem like you got a lot of talk in you.
Yeah, I can conversate with anybody about anything, man. Because like I say, that is a byproduct of prison. I done been around every kind of guy, every type of dude you can think of, every race, every color. And so it's just like, I know every type of dude. If I'm around a dude for about 10 minutes, man, and I just hear him talk, man, I already know if he's a dude I rock with or if he's full of it. I know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yesterday, Whack 100 is calling me racist because I told him, or whatever, because I told him, I'm like, you're really good at podcasting, and he's on that Clubhouse app all the time talking to people. And I was like, bro, I think that you're good because you had all those years when you were locked up where there's nothing to do but talk about what's going on with other people. I'm like, that's what I feel like when I'm listening to you on Clubhouse. Is like you're just chilling at the fucking Domino's table in prison, because there's a certain like way that he can just talk forever about shit. I don't think he was really being serious when he called racist, but
I definitely know what you're talking about. And like I say, every time I seen him, he was talking too. So that's all I know about him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't really know him. I ain't really
great guy.
Yeah,
for the record,
you know what I'm saying? I just heard that name. That name would catch you. Whack 100.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So boom. But yeah, I watch that stuff too, man. I watch, social media because trying to figure out, what I'm doing. What people into, what they looking at. You know what I'm saying? So I watch that stuff like that too, man. But he it seems like every time you turn around, he arguing with somebody. I seen him arguing with your boy. Oh boy, man, I like your boy, man. 5'5" Crib.
Oh,
you know
man.
what I'm saying?
They going back and forth crazy
man,
right now,
he is,
bro.
hey, I know, man. I'm watching the little stuff with him, man. I seen him on Yo Jones a couple times, but I seen him on another Jones, man, when he tried that hot chip challenge, man. And I swear, for goodness, man, I laughed so hard, man. He was spitting up and everything, and dude kept trying to talk to him, man. He was like, and you could just see it on. He said, "More water, cuz, more water." I said, dude kept asking the questions. Then he told the dude said, "Man, if you finish the rest of that chip, man, I give you $100 bills." And man, I laughed so hard because he went in his sock and pulled his wallet out. He said, "I give you 200, cuz if you go back there and take a friendly fade." Man, I said, boy, this dude, yeah, he funny, man. He funny, like I say, boy. Yeah. I watch him, man. I trip off him, man. There's a couple of other dudes on there that I watch, man. It just, I'd be like, yeah. But Whack 100, yeah, I've seen him. I've heard him talk a lot. I watched a couple of little podcasts and everything, man. But I had started watching Yo. I try to remember how somebody told me about your joint. But I remember when I first seen it, I think the first interview that I seen you with that I watched, it might have been Tekashi 6ix9ine. It might have been him. But since then, man, I seen, so many of the joints you did and the joint with Crip Mac, man. But
appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, man. Super motivational conversation. And everybody out there watching this, make sure you go check out his channel and subscribe. They should just type in Bankypound. I assume come right up.
Bankypound on YouTube should come right on up.
For sure.
And I got started another channel because the cooking I was doing and I was doing the stores, but it seemed like you said, with the views, they started leaning more to the stories. But then you had certain people that wanted cooking, so I started another channel where I just do the cooking.
Oh, nice.
And that's Bankypound, Pure Deliciousness.
There you go.
So I got 2 channels. That one got 53,800. The other one's been up now about 3 months. I think I got 5,200. So yeah, I got 2 channels, so they can look me up on either one of them, man, and tap in.
I respect the hustle.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming through and sharing the story with us. We all appreciate it.
Oh, I most definitely appreciate it, man. I appreciate you for having me, man. Like I say, a lot of people say they're going to do a lot of things, man. No Jumper got Bankypound on here, man. So TBP, y'all go support No Jumper, man. He got me on here.
Appreciate you, man.
For sure, man. Appreciate you.
Bankypound, No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, Patreon, TikTok, Instagram, all that shit. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all.
Peace.